This Najee here at Black Art with Black Art in America here with Arthur Dillard, renowned watercolor artist out of Bradenton, right? And we were just talking about the art shows. Now, what were you saying about?
I think over the years, we as blacks have been our own demise as far as the art shows. When I first got on the circuit, it's been over 15 years ago. A lot of the shows were like $200 to $400 were your high-end shows. Those same shows are going for $2,000, $3,000 for the same spaces. And they're not doing the advertising they used to do. And not only that, when I remember the first year I did the Black Heritage Art Festival in Baltimore, and it was their second year. In order to get in it, you had to have somebody to recommend you. And at that time, when they first started, they had about 14, 15 artists, and then it gradually went up to 20, 25. And then all of a sudden, those same shows now, you go in there, you knew that you were going to have artists that was going to have nice original pieces. The prices were going to be competitive, and you had a lot of collectors come in. You know, it was not unusual to see any celebrity come in and buy artwork. All of a sudden, they started letting $5 artwork come in, and people just selling posters. Then all of a sudden, the integrity of the shows started dropping, and they still raised the price of the different shows. And just like I said, some of the shows were starting at $400.
Yeah.
And it was doable. And you have artists that, like for me, for like some of the, like Philadelphia, Baltimore, it's 18 to 20 hour drive for me to transport my work that far. But I knew that when I got there, I was going to be in the company of Bibbs, Campbell, Holyfield, those kind of guys. And you know that if you had nice original pieces of work, you didn't have to worry about someone saying, that's too much money for it, because they know the quality and the integrity of the work. Now, you go to some of the same shows, you have people selling $5 pieces next to you, open editions that's 24 by 36 for $5, $10, and you don't have those same collectors coming there. Whereas so the collector will come there and it wouldn't be unusual for them to spend $60,000 or $70,000. I remember at one of the shows I did in Philadelphia, an artist that had been doing shows with me for years. This lady would come there every year and say, "Look, I don't want to argue with you. I got $20,000 I want to spend. Just tell me what's in your booth I can get for that." And that happened. But you would have people who come in and they would bring a dolly, and they would go to different artists. They'll have about 4 or 5 artists. They'll go and pick 4 pieces from this artist, 5 pieces from this artist, and they would do that every year. But when they started allowing those people to come in with everybody's prints, and then it used to be when you go to a black art festival or a black art show, it was just artists of color, primarily because many of the other shows, like some of the shows in Florida, they would only allow maybe 5 black artists in that show. Once they get to 5, then they cut it off. Whereas that it forced a lot of the artists to, and the black businesses to develop shows strictly for black artists. Now you go to some of these black art shows, a lot of the people that's in there aren't even black. You have Asians, you have Koreans, you even have white vendors at black art shows selling work. So whereas that it really hurted the integrity of the show. It wasn't, just like I said, it wasn't unusual, 15 years ago to go to an art show and you hear artists say, "Man," said, "I made $175,000 in 3 days." And you say, that's unheard of. But those things did happen. I remember 10 years ago coming to the National Black Art Festival, there were artists that was making $200,000, although the show was a week at the time. They were making $200,000, $220,000, and then we would leave Greenbrier Mall, and we go and stay at Wicked Decaf Mall. And then some artists will leave there and come to the Underground. And they'll stay in Atlanta for 3 weeks and did very well. But just like I said, a lot of things has changed. Right now, they're forcing a lot of artists to do white shows. And where it is that, because at some of the white shows, they give as much as $8,000 prize money to one particular category, and the show's only $250. And where it is that you may go to one that the show may be $400 will be a high end at one of their shows, but you still have the same integrity at the shows where it is that you don't have to set up next to someone that's peddling artwork that's been copied or bootlegged from other artists. Mm-hmm. So it makes a big difference.
Now tell me, walk me through some of your fond memories of your earlier years when you started to do your art full time. Can you remember some fond memories, some shows particular, some collectors?
I used to live to go to Baltimore show and Philadelphia show because it was. I remember the first time I did a show in Philadelphia. It took pretty much everything I had financially to make it to the show, and I was a little nervous. And an artist that had done the show, Anthony Armstrong, came in and told me, saying, "Look, you know, it was the first day of the show, and it was a lot of kids in there, and I wasn't selling very much of nothing." He said, "Look, tomorrow you're gonna pray to have some downtime." I said, "Man, you gotta be kidding." He said, "No, just wait till tomorrow." The next day, when they opened the doors, it was like when you look at the Nature Channel and you see the wildebeest going across the river in Africa. I mean, the people just came in just like that, and they just didn't come in to look; they bought. Yeah. And with that particular show, I had one artist told me, say, "Look, last year I came here with hardly any money and just basically being able to do the show." And he said, "I did so well that I went home and quit my job that next Monday." And artists was having that kind of success, but just like I said, that was one. And Baltimore was the same way. I remember when I first did the show in Baltimore, they came to Philadelphia and they saw my work and asked me would I come. And I was considering not going because it was an 18-hour drive for me, and I didn't know at that time. I didn't do credit cards or anything like that, and I didn't know whether or not it would be worth it. But when I went there, I ended up picking up about 8 collectors. And then I had picked up about 8 or 10 from Philadelphia. And before you know it, you picked up 30, 40, 50 collectors. And those are people that you would hear from every year. And that's one of the reasons I even came and did the Heritage Festival in Atlanta. Normally I used to do the Black Art Festival. I do Greenbrier, primarily because I have so many collectors that I know that once a year they expect me to show up in Atlanta. And that's the only reason I did it.